All right, forget everything you think you know about winter. We're about to go on a journey to a place where a mild day is still colder than your freezer. We're headed to a remote Siberian village that holds the title of the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth, Oymyakon.
Just look at that number, minus 71.2 degrees Celsius. Now, okay, this was an unofficial reading from way back in 1924, but it's the temperature that earned Oymyakon its legendary nickname, the Pole of Cold. I mean, that's not just cold. On some days, that's colder than the surface of Mars. It's a number that has defined this village's entire identity.
So what does a number like that actually feel like? Well, it means the simple act of breathing creates tiny ice crystals that locals swear you can hear rustling as they fall. It's a cold so intense that any exposed skin is in immediate, serious danger. It's not just weather, it's a constant physical thing you have to fight against. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Oymyakon is a village just full of paradoxes. First of all, how can a place this hostile even exist? And how in the world did it get a name that means the exact opposite of what it is?
Believe it or not, the name Oymyakon actually means unfrozen water. It's named after a thermal spring that, impossibly, never freezes over. For centuries, that single patch of warm water was a lifeline. It was the only reason nomadic reindeer herders would stop here in the middle of the vast Siberian wilderness.
So why here? What is it about this one spot on Earth that makes it so uniquely, brutally cold? Well, it turns out it's a perfect storm of geography that creates a kind of natural, superpowered freezer. Okay, so think of Oymyakon as being at the very bottom of a giant bowl. All winter long, the heavy, super cold air from the mountains around it literally sinks and pools right on top of the village. And then the mountains act like a lid on the bowl, trapping all that frigid air and blocking any warmer winds from getting in. It creates this bizarre effect called a temperature inversion, where it can actually be warmer up on the mountains than down in the village itself. And if the air wasn't enough to deal with, the ground itself is frozen solid. We're talking about permafrost that goes down 1,500 meters deep in some spots. This isn't just frozen dirt, it's a permanent feature of the geology here, and it dictates absolutely everything about life, from how you build a house to what you can possibly eat. So how on earth do you live in a place that seems to be actively trying to freeze you? It's not just about putting on an extra layer of clothes. No, survival on Oymyakon requires you to outsmart the cold at every single turn. The sheer hostility of the environment is just mind-boggling. Pen ink freezes solid, your phone battery will die almost instantly. If you touch bare metal with your skin, it'll rip it right off. And plumbing? Forget about it. Digging through solid permafrost is so difficult that most homes still have outhouses, which means a trip to the bathroom is a life-threatening dash through the killing cold. And what about something as basic as driving a car? In a place where a stalled engine isn't just an inconvenience, but a potential death sentence, how do you even keep a vehicle from becoming a solid block of metal?
Well, the solutions are just as wild as the problem. You either have to keep your car in a heated garage, or you just leave it running, all day, all night, sometimes for the entire winter. And if a part does freeze up on you, the standard repair tool isn't a wrench, it's a blowtorch. That's just a normal Tuesday in Oymyakon. Even the animals here show this incredible contrast and adaptation. You have the native Yakut horses, which are basically built for this. They're furry, stout, and can spend the whole winter outside, digging through the snow for food. But cows? Not so much. They have to be kept in heated barns, and when they do go out, they wear special leather bras to keep their udders from getting frostbite. That frozen ground means you can't grow anything. No vegetables, no crops, nothing. So if you can't farm, what do you eat? Well, the diet here is almost entirely carnivorous, built around the only things that can survive, animals. It's a diet of meat and fish, packed with the fat and calories you need to literally fuel your own internal furnace. And this isn't just about sustenance. It's a unique cuisine born from the cold. Reindeer and horse meat are absolute staples. A signature dish is stroganina. That's raw frozen fish shaved into these paper-thin curls that just melt on your tongue. And for a real high-energy snack, you might have ice cubes of frozen horse blood served with macaroni. Here, the freezer isn't an appliance in your kitchen. It's the entire world outside your door. But how did Oymyakon go from being just a temporary stop for nomads to a permanent village? The answer isn't just in the climate,
but in one of the darkest chapters of Soviet history and a road that was literally built on bones.
You see, for centuries, this was just a seasonal camp. But that all changed in the 1930s, when the Soviet regime forced the nomadic people to settle down and stay put. At the same time, they launched a brutal project, the construction of the Kolyma Highway, the region's only road, built with the forced labor of Gulag prisoners.
That highway quickly earned a chilling nickname, the Road of Bones. And that name is horribly, gut-wrenchingly literal. So many prisoners died during its construction that their bodies were simply buried in the foundation of the road itself. The scale of this tragedy is almost impossible to comprehend. Estimates suggest that anywhere from 250,000 to over 1 million people died in the Kolyma Gulag system. The very road that keeps Oymyakon connected to the world today is also a mass grave.
So what is life like in Oymyakon today, living in the shadow of that history? Well, it's a fascinating blend of ancient traditions, modern realities, and even a little bit of good-natured local rivalry.
If you really want to understand the local definition of cold, just look at the school. It stays open unless the temperature drops below -55°C. For the kids who live here, -50 is just another Tuesday. Time to go to school. And there's a real fierce pride attached to that cold. Oymyakon has a long-standing rivalry with another town, Verkhoyansk, over who gets to claim the Pole of Cold title. Now, if you look at the official records, Verkhoyansk is technically 1/10 of a degree colder, but Oymyakon proudly stands by its more dramatic, unofficial -71.2, a number you'll find displayed on a monument right in the center of town. The modern economy is a real mix of the ancient and the new. You still have the traditional livelihoods, reindeer herding, hunting, fishing, but now you've also got a massive coal power plant that provides heat and jobs. And weirdly enough, the very thing that makes life so hard here, the extreme cold, is now attracting a whole new industry, extreme tourism.
But for the 500 or so people who actually live in Oymyakon, this isn't some extreme spectacle. It's just home. It's where they raise their families, carry on centuries of tradition, and live in this deep, complicated relationship with the land that is both incredibly punishing and hauntingly beautiful.
And that leaves us with one final thought. As our world continues to warm and change, what's the future for a place that's defined entirely by cold? Is Oymyakon a timeless testament to the power of human resilience, or is it a fragile legacy, a unique way of life that's surviving on the very edge of what's possible?